So I promised myself I would get over myself and just start recording these, like when the mood struck or when it was just there are things that I keep thinking about that I wanted to do videos about, but I haven't been. And so backing up a couple of weeks ago to an old topic, the salt and pepper Spinderella thing. So I think it's good that I waited a while for this because when it first happened, the main thing I kept hearing from especially my mom and women in her age bracket, a little bit older than me, I kept hearing that there was all this like I don't know, like animosity towards Salt and Pepper for not including Spinderella, and I got kind of in my feelings about it because I'm a huge Salt and Pepper fan. Like I think after I would say Michael Jackson and LL Cool J, like they were the next group. They were the next big pop act that I was like obsessed with. It was like my pantheon was like Michael Jackson, LL Cool J. It was the '80s, so Billy Joel, and Prince, Salt and Pepper, and Janet Jackson. Um, but Salt and Pepper had a special place in my heart, especially because they used a lot of. I'm from DC. They used a lot of go-go beats, and they used them really effectively. And there was always this controversy in DC because we um, had this vibrant music scene that wasn't being respected, and it seemed like a lot of hip hop borrowed our sound, but local Washington go-go groups weren't getting that attention. I feel so huge. I look like an elephant in this, but it is what it is. But yeah, so people were really upset that Spinderella wasn't getting what they believed was her due for like all she had contributed to the group. And I remember when the first album came out, which I still think is top 10 hip hop albums of all time, Hot, Cool, Vicious. I'll Take Your Man is hands down one of the best raps ever. But, anyways, there's just bangers on that album, period. And there was another DJ. And then I remember them replacing them with Spinderella. And me thinking in my head, like, I don't remember the DJ having a name really before, but that Spinderella was brought on to make the group more pop. I remember thinking that because it was like the MTV era. So I mean there were a bunch of female rappers at the time who were coming up, and they were all like about the look. And when I remember Salt and Pepper coming out, they were just hard rappers and they were pretty, but they weren't Tigra and Bunny who liked the boom, and they weren't Oaktown 357 getting loose. So I was into them because they had the balance of both. And plus I guess because I'm a little bit from more like the Northeast, I kind of gravitated to their look and their aesthetic. But I don't remember being like obsessed with Spinderella. And like I had to go back and look at the videos to find out remember she was there the whole time. Like she had bits in the video and you could see them like placing her, and she was like a balancing figure in the group. But where I was when I was hearing it before, I was a little annoyed because as a person who's been a part of music groups and has performed myself, who's been a part of groups, who's been a part of theater troupes, productions, um, I have often had to check my ego and say, this is not my show. I'm proud to be a part of the ensemble. I'm proud to be a part of the organization that brought this thing to people. But I don't necessarily have to live with the spotlight of being a part of its success. I don't necessarily put my name on the line and my face on the line for this to go. I feel bad about the fact that, honestly, in my mind, Salt and Pepper with Spinderella does not exist until What a Man. and that was way late in the game. Um, I mean, I had already been fans of them. I do remember Spinderella, but honestly, going back over those videos, looking at the YouTube, I just got curious. I wanted to see. I was like, there's not that many music videos. They don't come from the era of like music video for every single or visual albums. Michael Jackson was the only one doing those things. And yeah, I didn't realize Spinderella was there the whole time. I could see where she's a little upset about not being included in the project, but if I were her, I would still play my role because I could see there being room. First of all, there's not a huge interest in black women in hip hop and their stories. Let's just be real about it. Like the fact that Salt and Pepper survived long enough to be known enough to still garner this sort of mainstream interest is unique. So if I think the smarter thing would have been to continue playing the background and realizing that two-thirds of the story, literally, of Salt and Pepper, is Salt and Pepper, like what they went through, the their relationship with the producer, Cheryl deciding to take over and start writing more and producing more, the way they broke away from Herbie Lovebug and kept their image growing, rebranding themselves, their style, their fashion, owning their style and fashion, being okay to hear themselves fully. Like there are so many incremental pieces to being a performer that Spinderella really didn't have to deal with so much. She did. I remember seeing them live a couple times when I was young, and I remember her being on the mic. But there is a consistency, a sonic capacity, consistency that you have to tour stadiums, arenas, pull big crowds for decades. That is a skill, that is a talent, that is athletic level, um, rare, unique training and ability. Um, but I do kind of feel bad and see Spinderella's heartache when she has been playing the background so long, and she thought maybe like now they could see making a story that showed her point of view. But I think it is a bit of that middle child syndrome where the two main characters, the oldest and the baby in the family, they stole all the shine. And when it was time for her to eat, she had to eat the leftovers and not eat anything at all. And she's sick of that because she stuck along for the ride this whole time. Um, but yeah, I wanted to say something about that. Um, and that was the biggest thing on my mind. I mean, I've been talking about Drag Race on TikTok, and there hasn't been anything really upsetting from that. Tonight Tamisha went home, and the I just wanted I wanted to say I wanted to add that thought in about something completely different from Salt and Pepper to Tamisha Iman going home on Drag Race, which was there was this message that I got from her whole journey, which she was so happy to be there after surviving cancer and making it to the top 11, and but she made her mark, and I think what's more important is her story is a message of humility that she was 49 years old and she made it to a television show, and after years, decades of being one of the best in the industry. I mean, if you search on YouTube for Tamisha Iman or Ramisha Iman, it'll still come up, and you will see that this was a star, a performer in the way that, like, to be honest, Like in the black community, there's just a wealth of talent, and it is easy to play yourself short and not believe that you got it when when we really are something magnificent. And she stuck around all these years to make her way to Hollywood. She was just grateful to have the chance. And then there's people who are much younger and they think they deserved everything. And, you know, who knows if her being a little more arrogant or self centered, not being a matriarch, and being a part of so many careers, maybe she would have had a bigger career. Um, but connecting it to the Salt and Pepper situation, if they weren't content, if they weren't comfortable in the spotlight, Spinderella wouldn't have had a money train to ride all these years to be a part of. So I think she could take from that 30 years in the game, you might need to still be excited about getting your voice heard for however long you get it. Still keep that excitement. Don't approach it with bitterness at all, because the gratitude is in the fact that you've had this extraordinary life that so many people have dreamed of, that you have these talents, that you have the looks, that you've been invited to the ball. And, you know, maybe it wasn't your story to tell this time around, but people are listening and they'll be much more willing to hear a full story if you go about this correctly. Because now it looks like it's going to be like my life with them. Like, whatever happened, what the fuck happened to baby sister? And that's not cute. Um, it's going to be her story about being part of this group. She couldn't do vice versa. She couldn't do Spinderella and then fill in with two Salt and Peppers in the story and have people be like, "Oh, I'm going to see the Spinderella story." Maybe right now she could get people who agree with her, but I'm not signing up to see that. I'd watch it on YouTube, um, but I'm not watching no commercials. Um, I don't know. Yesterday, I made a little video about Funky Dineva, only because the every time I was leaving a comment, it would get blocked, and or I guess because I was using racial language, because it was in response to a racial topic. It was saying it wasn't in community guidelines. Anyways, their channel got taken down. So I made a follow up video because I was shocked. I was just like, I couldn't believe it. I thought this couldn't possibly have upset other people. Or my thought was just like talking about race during this time is just like flagging things, period. Like if you put race and violence in something, you'll get flagged. Um, but he came back today with a totally different message, nothing to do with violence, but sort of like going down this rabbit hole of some relationship or something he had with another YouTuber named Michelle Brown, who I watch sometime. I think it's Michelle, the AT. She has the ATLian blog or something. I've seen her a couple times. Um, I like pop culture like everyone else. I think that Atlanta, Hollywood, the new Hollywood sort of thing going in Atlanta is really interesting. I have not personally like invested enough interest in that like love and hip hop reality TV star world. I don't know. Hell, I got blocked from somebody's timeline today just for like giving them a compliment. I guess I got too fresh. I don't know. I don't know the rules, child. I'm old, but um, yeah, his video was about 20 minutes long, And it really went down this rabbit hole about him not understanding her continuing to have hatred in her heart towards him, or like waiting for his downfall, or to carry this dislike for him. And I'm just, I don't know. I think it's kind of strange. I mean, she's a YouTuber. She talks about YouTube topics. Your channel was abruptly terminated. It was news to you. It was news. Um, if it was news to a person that you don't like, yeah, they're probably going to dance on your grave. That's just entertainment. I don't think that Funky Dineva says things um, that are super, controversial, but I do think, like that video that I reacted to, sometimes he gets on topics that make you react, and that's what the forum is for. That's what this medium is for. Is for people to put their hats in the ring. But for him to be confused that somebody who didn't like him also made a video about his supposed downfall for like a couple hours. Him He repeatedly said this phrase, "I'm only winning because you're losing," um, was strange to me. Um, because he went down this list of all these accomplishments, all these upcoming projects, all this money he has, which was very insecure to me. But if it's yours, it's your truth to tell. But um, there's no way that that winning is in direct relationship to that person doing what they're doing. I mean, in this world, there are just lanes being created, and you're either prepared to take advantage of the opportunities or you're not. That's just the world we live in. Like last year, people weren't becoming millionaires on something called TikTok. There are other social media um, outlets that apparently caused an insurrection. So I wouldn't be so flippant with both my success and how I've left someone feeling about me. Um, Apparently, you guys have never. I don't know what the full situation was, but he seemed to be like. I mean, I guess his fans have been in on it for the past 6 years, and they know the whole backstory, and that there were words, and they had to do something with money, and all these things. But I just I thought the video was a little odd. Again, for someone who appears to have better faculties, who appears to be about growth, you know, not perfect. Nobody, we're not all sitting there with Ayana Benzant in our phones, but I was really confused by his tone. I thought it was, and the length of it. It was 20 minutes about one topic, and he kept saying how he was so like kind of unbothered by the person he wept for them, and all these strange sort of like mix of like southern shady sort of things, and sort of like snarky internet troll things, and that kind of grandma shade, like bless your heart, and like, oh, and it was like, well, you seem a little bothered. Like, I don't know, like 10 minutes ago you seemed like you were addressing it. 15 minutes in, it seemed like there's enough hurt to go around, and maybe you do want to reach out to this person that you say you haven't addressed in 6 years in this medium or in any fashion. Maybe it's time to reach out. I feel like the theme for the month is humility. Like, we're all learning it. I'm learning it right now, sitting on this camera as fat as I am, doing these videos because, well, I want to do them, and I'm not going to get thinner in a time that my opinions are going to change. So there's that.